Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Sunday program here in the Krishna Temple Zürich. Herzlich willkommen zum Sonntagsfest im Krishna Tempel Zürich. Gibt es jemand, der kein Englisch versteht? Very good. You all understand English? Yeah, good. So, thank you for coming. We're now going to have a lecture, and we're very happy that we have with us His Grace Divya-Simha Prabhu, as was announced in the newsletter, and we are actually even more happy because he brought with him Vaishnava Kripa Mataji, and they will be giving the class together today. So let us welcome them by loudly chanting Hari Bol! Please. Take a seat. I would like to give a brief introduction about our speakers of today's lecture. Divya-Simha Prabhu, he joined the Krishna consciousness movement in this temple in 2006. He lived here for 10 years and was serving in different capacities. And then he moved out of the temple. Now he lives in Brazil. He's married to Vaishnava Kripa Mataji, who is from Brazil originally. She was born in a family of devotees, and so has been practicing Krishna consciousness unconsciously from birth and even before, and then consciously a little later. When did you start consciously?
Maybe not yet.
8?
Maybe not yet.
Not yet. That's a humble answer. And yeah, both of them, they are committed to sharing the wisdom of the Vedic scriptures with others, and today's talk is entitled Unlocking Spiritual Fulfillment, and also today we are celebrating the appearance day of Sri Vamanadev. Vamanadev is one of the avatars of Krishna, so they will also include that in the lecture. We have a Russian translation, is that correct? Do you know? Maybe you can ask if somebody needs Russian translation in Russian. Ruski? Ukrainsky? Anyone translation? No. You understand? Good. Then thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for this very warm welcome. And thank you to all of you for coming here today for the Sunday Feast program. It's nice to see so many friends and well-wishers, and maybe also some new guests. I don't remember, did you ask if someone is here for the first time? So is anyone here for the first time today? Wonderful. So, what is your good name?
My name is Natalia.
Natalia, nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm from Ukraine.
Okay.
Actually, my English and Deutsch nicht so gut.
Okay.
So, ich bleibe hier noch 10 Minuten. Danke für Kirtan. Das war super toll. Vielen Dank.
Danke, dass du da bist. And you are also here for the first time?
Subashi.
Russian?
Subashi.
Subashi. Where are you from?
South Africa.
South Africa. Very warm welcome. And our two gentlemen here.
Yes, my name is Sushil. I'm from India. I'm a student in Germany, Constance.
Oh, sounds very cool.
Yeah.
Also very welcome. So as you see, the room is slowly filling up. We expect more guests to come. If you don't shine, just come a little bit closer. If you are comfortable there on this side, please stay. Otherwise, I can see better over here. So, Damodar Prasad Prabhu, he announced the topic for today, which is unlocking spiritual fulfillment. And we did a slight change to the topic, because we wanted to connect today's presentation with the appearance day of Vamanadev, and what is this all about, we're going to explain too. So therefore we place this gentleman at the door, that no one gonna escape now when we announce the new topic. you make a strong face. Because today we're going to speak about surrender. Surrender is something which doesn't sound so pleasing when we hear it initially, but we want to have a bhakti perspective on it and to see that it's actually something very wanted, desirable, and something very possible also. So that's today's topic, and we're going to connect that with the appearance of Vamanadev. Before we start with the presentation, we're going to sing a little bit more, and we have a specific song which we sing every time before our lecture starts. The title is Jaya Radha Madhava. Whom of you have never heard about that song? Don't be shy. Just one person. Can we have some songbooks, please, for those? Wow. Who made this design? That looks like handwritten. Very beautiful. So it's a song which describes the spiritual world, particularly the place where Krishna is at home, which is called Vrindavan. And by singing that song, we're putting ourselves into the right frame of mind, so that when we hear about Krishna, that we can connect things. If you know the song, sing by heart, otherwise you have to hear the call. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Kunja Vihari So today's presentation we're going to base on the Bhagavad Gita, on the 18th chapter, which is like the concluding chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, in text 65. What Krishna speaks in text 65 is like the principle of surrender, how to actually to do, how to become surrendered to Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada gives a very beautiful purport to this text, which helps us to meditate on the beauty of Krishna. So we're going to chant the Sanskrit, we're going to chant the translation and read the purport, and please join me in the prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Man Bhagavamat Bhakto Matachi Mam Namaskuru. Mam evashyasi satyam te pratijane prayosime. We're also going to read the word-by-word translation because there's some very important words in this verse. Matmanaha, thinking of me. Bhava, just become. Mat-bhaktaha, my devotee. Matyachi, my worshipper. Mam, unto me. Namaskuru, offer your obeisances. Mam, unto me. Eva, certainly. Ishyasi, you will come. Satyam, truly. Te, to you. Pratijane, I promise. Priyaha, dear. Asi, you are. Me, to me. So translation appropriate by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So here in this text, Krishna, he explains three principles of surrender. First is to become a devotee of Krishna, which means to have a positive attitude towards Krishna, a favorable attitude. Krishna says, worship me, which means do something practical for Krishna. And offer your homage or your obeisances unto me, which means to show respect to Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport. The most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours he cannot think but of Krishna. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such a pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face. We have here this beautiful picture on the wall where a devotee meets Krishna again face to face. That could be you. This most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is the dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to Krishna and obtain the same perfection as Arjuna. So the Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Arjuna is devotee. These words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna. The very form with two hands carrying a flute, the bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. Yes. Their description of Krishna found in the Brahma Samhita and other literatures. one should fix his mind on this original form of Godhead, Krishna. One should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi-forms as Vishnu, Narayan, Rama, Varaha, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. Concentration of the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of Krishna's. End of prophet. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Ramayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakachartam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saritam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Rate Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Harive Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So one more time the verse. Man manabhava mat bhakto matachimam namaskuru mam evashyasi satyante pratijane priyosime. Always think of me, become a devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So Krishna gives here a prelude to the next verse, which is like the concluding verse of the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. So here we have the word surrender. And surrender always carries a certain kind of emotion with it. Huh? Because when we speak about surrender, usually it means we have to give up something, or we lost maybe something. If we have a football match and one party is losing, they have to surrender to the winner. If there's a war, there's only one who is the winning party, the other one has to surrender. But this is not the kind of surrender we want to speak about today. Because if we translate the word surrender in the process of bhakti, it actually means to increase our love for God. It means to increase our faith, to take shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna. It means to come closer to Krishna. And what we want to discuss today is that it's a process, it's not an event. Because if we think of something which is so high that it's actually not reachable for us at the moment, then maybe we become a little discouraged. But if we see there is a process which gradually brings us to that highest goal, then we can have confidence and courage to move forward on that path. And this topic just fits perfectly into today's festival, the appearance of Sri Vamana Dev. And you see on the altar that Jagannath today, he took the Vamana Vesh. He dressed himself, or he was dressed, as Vamana. Vamana means dwarf. So Krishna, he appeared on one specific occasion, on that particular day which we have today, Badashi. He appeared as a dwarf to fulfill a certain kind of purpose and through that divine play which he demonstrates to increase our faith and our attraction towards him. Therefore we want to just in a nutshell narrate that pastime which Krishna manifested, so that we have the connection and we get some insight into the principle of surrender from a practical demonstration. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yes.
Okay, in the right place. Since time immemorial, the demons and the devatas, they always have some kind of quarrel and conflicts. And in previous ages, they lived on different planets. They were constantly fighting about supremacy. The demons always wanted to conquer the planets of the devatas or the demigods. And under the king Bali, who was a very powerful king, they were actually able to conquer the heavenly planets. Now, you can imagine this created quite some disturbances in the universe. We have some ghosts.
I'm not sure what's happening.
It's the kids that.
The kids, huh? So let's have some space for the kids also. So when the demons, and when we speak about demons, we're not speaking about like some very utterly crazy looking figures. We're speaking about a mentality for selfish interest or selfish enjoyment. Whereas the devatas, the demigods, their attitude is to perform loving service towards the Lord. Even they have a slight motivation for own enjoyment, but they are devotees of the Lord. They want to please the Lord. Now, under these circumstances, the demigods, they approached Lord Vishnu, Krishna, and said, you have to do something. We cannot go on like this. We need some space again where we can rule. And to make it short, Vishnu or Krishna, he accepted and appeared as the son of Aditya and Kashyapa as Vamanadev. Vamanadev, just a 5-year-old boy, and so beautiful. It's described that his effulgence was stronger than millions of suns. And when this great King Bali performed a sacrifice, Vamana, without invitation, he appeared in that sacrificial arena. Now what we have to understand about Bali, that king, that he comes from a lineage of great personalities. His grandfather was Prahlad Maharaj. And some of you may know that wonderful pastime of Nrsimhadev and Prahlad. That's a story for another time. But Prahlad was a very exalted devotee, a pure devotee. And Bali, he had the same kind of consciousness. Because when Vamanadev was coming into the arena, he saw immediately, this is Vishnu, that's Krishna. And he wanted to offer his obeisances. But he knew, no, in this assembly, I'm the king of all these demons, and here is all my fellows, so he will not understand. So he restrained himself. But he gave some sitting place to Vamanadev, he washed his feet, and he offered him some charity. Now, here's a little detail. Because Bali, as the king of the universe, he had some pride. He thought, ask me whatever you want. I can give you land, I can give you palaces and servants, and whatever your heart desires. But then, Vamana, he just asked for 3 steps of land. So that little Brahmana boy, just 5 years old, he asked for 3 steps of land. And Bali said, this is not very intelligent. You're still a child, I understand. But 3 steps of yours, they will not occupy a lot of land. Now, while this was the attitude of Bali, Krishna, he's the supreme intelligent. He had a plan. because his plan was to crush that pride of Bali and teach also us maybe some lessons. Now, keep it short. When Vamana accepted the charity of 3 steps, then suddenly he expanded his form. He became huge. He became so huge that he filled the whole universe with his form. Actually, the whole universe was present within him. He was that universal form. And with the first step he took, he covered all the planet Earth. With the second step, he covered all the heavenly planets, the whole universe. No, there was no place for the third step. And he accused Bali. He said, you promised 3 steps. Where should I place my third step? Now, Bali, at that point, he was really in trouble. He got bound because he was a culprit. He made a promise which he couldn't fulfill. But because he was a devotee, he knew actually what to do, what's the proper thing to do now. Because the teachers, they say, our spiritual predecessors, they say, that more valuable than a property is the owner of the property. Because everything here in this world is of temporary nature. Everything has a beginning and an end. What can we offer which is of eternal value? The only thing we can offer of eternal value is our own self, the soul, our own life. So therefore, very humbly, Bali, he lowered his head and said, please, place your third step on my head. And with this gesture, with this attitude, he showed complete surrender. Which in Sanskrit is called Atmanivedana, to give one's own self unto the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. And that's the perfection of life. Can we do that? Maybe not today, but maybe in the future, because there's a process which brings us gradually closer to that. Now, the Sanskrit word for surrender is Sharanagati. Sharanagati consists of 2 words. Sharanam, which means shelter, and Gati, or Gataha, means a path or a goal. The combination of these 2 words means to move forward what gives you shelter. Now, when we speak about movement, movement is a process, it's not an event. If we want to move, we have to go forward into a certain direction. Therefore, when we speak about surrender, it's not a one-time event. It's something to a process where we increase our faith and gradually come to that point where we say, Krishna, now I can give myself fully unto you. Now, once we take that direction, Krishna becomes very happy. Because like here, on that instance of that picture, this is Gopkumar, great devotee of the Lord. When Gopkumar finally came back to the spiritual world, Krishna asked him, where have you been for such a long time? We have been waiting here for you. So Krishna, he's waiting for that moment when we turn towards him again. And he knows that it's not so easy. So many distractions in this world. Therefore, when Krishna sees a slight endeavor from our side, he immediately reciprocates. And he reciprocates exponentially. We take 1 step, he may take 10 or 100 steps. Because he knows it's not easy, and therefore he gives his mercy to help us to move forward. That's the kind of loving exchange the devotee has with the Lord. So we do our endeavor, but we are dependent on the mercy to actually accomplish that process. Now, when we speak about surrender, to increase our bhakti, our love, then it's important that we know from where we start. Because we need a starting point, we need an end point, so that we can decide what is in between. And let's speak a bit more practical about that, and I'll give it over to you, to guide us.
Hare Krishna, good afternoon. Thank you, Prabhu, for the opportunity to be sharing a little bit of something I have been studying about this topic. It's a very deep topic to speak about surrender. I don't feel myself qualified to speak about this. But as Divya-Simha Dasa said, there's a process, there's a path. I think all of us here, we somehow enter this path. And now it's just like giving one step after the other to reach this final stage, as he said, that's Atma-Nivedana. So I'd like to ask you, I always make questions because I like interactive lectures. I came from Brazil, so Brazil is very talkative, they have many conversations. We gave 2 lectures here and I felt you very shy. And I was just feeling myself, oh, I'm speaking here alone, so please feel free to share. And I'd like to ask you, because I think all of you have the experience of making questions to Krishna, isn't it? Making prayers, and Krishna, where are you? You're not responding my prayers, you're not responding my questions. Have you already had this experience before? Making questions, praying to Krishna?
Yes.
And do you know which prayers Krishna responds? Would you like to know? Huh?
One of us.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Repeat it.
yeah, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our spiritual masters, he has a series of poems called Sharanagati. And he says that Krishna responds to prayers of the one who entered this path of Sharanagati, of surrender. And there are some steps, he speaks about 6 steps, I'll not go deep here. But just to connect with what you heard in this verse, in the purport Srila Prabhupada said that we should model our life so we always remembering of Krishna. And it was interesting because at noon there was a lecture also here for the Tamil community, and Divya was speaking about Sharanagati, and then he asked if it was something easy or difficult, and one lady said, oh, it's very easy. And people said, oh, how is it easy? I just chant my rounds, and the rest of the whole day I'm just thinking about Krishna. And there was one sir here, I said, how can you say this? You're lying. This is very difficult. I go to the work, I forget Krishna completely. And then there was this conversation, so you can think, oh, is it easy? Is it complex? What do you think? Easy, difficult? Challenging, yes. It's not something easy, you cannot take this as something cheap. But imagine if you give this step. John.
Yeah, I think for those who have love for Krishna, it's the most easy thing, but for the other ones,
Yes.
it's very difficult.
Yes, exactly. As soon as you reach this place, life becomes very easy, isn't it? Because imagine, I think much of our anxiety in this world comes off our sense of control. I want to control everything. But what happens if you want to control everything and you're not the supreme controller? Just frustration, anxiety, stress, isn't it? But as soon as you understand you're not the supreme controller and you surrender to the supreme controller, life becomes much easier. So it's easy in one side, as soon as you really surrender, but till you reach there, there's a process. But there's a way, so don't be demotivated. And Srila Prabhupada said this, we should model our life, and two things that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says is accepting what's favorable and rejecting what's unfavorable. We see that often in the nectar of the instruction. And other thing that Divya said in the beginning was about let's do something practical. There's another path, the dedication of the self. And he speaks also about faith. Divya spoke also about faith in this verse. You have faith that Krishna is your supreme shelter. Because if you don't have faith that Krishna is our supreme shelter, how can you surrender to him? And when I speak about surrendering, is what he said. It's not like something negative. Oh, I lost, I'm surrendered to you. No, we can think this in a loving way. So I'm surrendered, I can give myself to you. There's a loving exchange. I can give myself to you. Why? Because I believe in you, in your protection. I have faith on you. So this is other thing that help us to surrender, to walk this path. And other thing Bhaktivinoda Thakur brings also is like you accept Krishna as your maintainer. And one last point, but last but not the least, humility. That actually Satyananda Swami makes an analogy. He says that the path to surrender is like has a gateway that is very, very short. So to pass through this gateway, you should go. Which means to walk on the path of surrender, you should have humility. Why? Why you think you should develop humility to surrender to Krishna? If you control everything, you don't need anyone. Will you surrender to someone? No, I don't need Krishna in my life. So if you have this proud that I don't need Krishna in my life, I am self-sufficient devotee, we don't need to surrender, isn't it? But it's just illusion. Can you be self-sufficient? You just said Krishna is my maintainer, Krishna is my protector. So we had Divya-Simha recently, and on Wednesday you spoke about the 7 oceans of Srimati Radharani. I'm sorry, because I have Divya-Simha too in Gurukadam. So we had Radha-Sami on Wednesday and spoke about the 7 oceans of Srimati Radharani from Radharasa Sudhanidhi, and one of these oceans is Vatsalya Sindhu, is the ocean of motherly affection. And mother expresses affection through nourishment, through protection. So in the same way, Radharani protects us, Krishna protects us, the Supreme Couple protects us. So if you understand this as a loving exchange, we say, okay, I can walk on this path, I can have faith in Krishna that He's going to protect me. But how do you do this? How I can develop this faith in Krishna? How can I give up something that brought me to this world, that is the desire to control? Press, I have to press. And Srila Prabhupada brought us a process. So we can make small steps on this path, like developing humility, accepting Krishna as our maintainer, our protector, molding our life so we can always remember of Krishna. As this lady said, I just chant Hare Krishna and remember of him the whole day. So most probably she's already practicing for a while. But one thing interesting is that we should not force ourselves, like, okay, it's what Divya said, it's not a one-day event, it's a process. Or do something artificially, oh, I surrender. Have you heard or read some devotee that came to the temple the first day, he surrendered. Isn't it? Like it was something like this. But it's not like this. So, but we should commit to the process, what he said. And there's one thing that Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, dedication of the self. We dedicate ourselves to the process. And there's one element that can help us a lot. If you don't have this, because Bhakti is not something you can acquire automatically or mechanically, just following a process. You said there's a process, isn't it? But it's just sticking to the process. What do you think? It's just following the process. You're very quiet. It's just following a process that you're gonna reach there.
You said one thing with like love, that love we should have for Krishna. Yamuna also said love for Krishna. It's like love for Krishna is there, but we are living in this human world, and the love we understand is Maya. It's like giving and taking.
Exchange.
And sometimes, as you said, you are on the path, but you don't see that is Krishna reciprocating or is not reciprocating. And then sometimes it is like the challenge comes in, hey, do I am in the right path?
Because I'm not hearing, he's not replying my prayers.
I'm connecting to him, Whereas like chanting, but chanting is like mind is everywhere, but not on chanting. So those.
It's important. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought the sixfold path, so we can make a check. If I should dedicate myself to one of this process, because sometimes we want, okay, I want the protection of Krishna, but am I like, because I said the history of Bali Maharaj, okay, he gave one step, another step, and in the beginning there was discussion, should you give these steps for him or not? With Shukracharya, oh no, you're going to take over everything, you should not do this. And sometimes, I think in spiritual life you also think, oh, I'm going to dedicate myself to spiritual life, but just a little bit. Otherwise, Krishna come and take everything, isn't it? And you're just holding things back here. But what Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna's more interested what you're holding here back. So, it's what how Divya always says, easy to be said, but not to be done. It's very easy that you accept Krishna as our supreme maintainer, of our supreme protector. We have the history of Draupadi, isn't it? This is a very good example of Sharanagati. And she came to Krishna after this history of deciding, and she said, oh, wow, Krishna, why you delayed so much? You were taking shelter in other people, not on me. And this pastime of Govardhan, where he's lifting the heel, he stays 7 days lifting the heel with the small finger of the left hand. And the 7 days represent 7 false shelters, the Durashrayas. Our family, our money, our intelligence, our wealth. So we are searching for shelter in so many places. But you're forgetting to search the shelter in the right place. And while you are searching shelter in the wrong place, Krishna not will respond to our prayers. Because you are not considering him our own maintainer, our supreme protector. We don't have faith in his protection. We don't have faith in his protection. So we spoke early in the morning about truthfulness, authenticity. So am I exercising truthfulness? Am I really being truthful to this process? Do I really believe in this? So you spoke about exchange. Exchange, the name say, one person give one thing, the other person give another thing. But in the spiritual platform is even better, because what Krishna said, what Divya said, you give one step, Krishna give many steps in your direction. So, okay, I don't feel Krishna love me, but how much love I give into Krishna? And this happened with me. Prabhu said, the Damodar Prasad Prabhu asked, how long you are conscious, Krishna conscious, because I'm conscious since your birth. I was born Krishna conscious movement. And when I was child, I always felt, I shared this with you, isn't it, before? I always felt, okay, this is the path of my parents. I'm just being carried. But at some point, I make a decision. But before I make the decision, I passed through the worst year of my life. And it happened after I made the Kunti Devi prayer, because I was giving a lecture about bhakti, devotion, spiritual nourishment, and just feeling like a miserable and empty and dry inside. And I said, what am I doing here? And then I said, Krishna, I cannot continue like this. And I made Kunti Devi's prayer. To who doesn't know, she's praying that all the calamities come so she can get closer to Krishna. I never thought I would have courage to do this, but I was feeling so miserable that I did. But I don't advise you to do the same, because the tsunami came in my life in 1 year. Everything that you can imagine happened. And then I said, Krishna, where are you? You don't exist. And I start having psychological atheism. And one day I make a checkmate. I said, if you really exist, just show yourself. But I was completely in a mood of, I cannot exist in this way anymore. And he responded in a way that I could not say that he was not there. And I think after this event, that I started the path of Krishna consciousness. My path, individual path. And I think we should try to write down all the moments in our life that Krishna gave us shelter and reciprocated with us. Because when these challenges come, we just forget. We take it for granted. There's one professor, Dr. Amit Sood, he's from US, that he says he's Indian, very spiritual person, and his teacher in the stress management program that was trained, and he says that there are three things that impede gratitude. One of them is like sense of entitlement. So Divya said here about the pride of Bali Maharaj. If you feel proud about ourselves, if you think we deserve everything, we will not express our gratitude. The other is comparison. How can I be grateful in life if the life of my friend is better than mine? And the third one is like, what is it? Sense of entitlement, gratitude, our programmed dissatisfaction, because our brain's programmed to lament all the time. And Srila Prabhupada always speak about lamentation. Vishada, we should give up lamentation, material lamentation, lament about objects and material things. But the spiritual lamentation is positive. That's Vishada Yoga. This attracts Krishna. Because when you see where we are, and where we want to reach, we see the big gap. And you know that you cannot close the gap alone. So we dedicate ourselves, but we pray and ask for Krishna's help. And with this, we can all walk on this path of Sharanagati. And we can close this gap for one day. We can really give ourselves, our heart fully to Krishna without holding anything back, without holding the sari, without having our emergency security. Oh, I remember when I met Divya, I was just too much fanatic about security. Health insurance, life insurance, all the insurance. And I said, and I have been in a process when I asked Krishna to take all this desire to control. He already made me leave one job, So we already make the plan for the next one. So I'm joking, you don't need to leave your jobs, okay? But not that I want to leave a job, not do anything, but I want to work more aligned with my principles, so I make a career transition. So, and this is part of a Sharanagati. So what I would like to give here, like some exercise that we meditate on the moments of we felt protected by Krishna. Make a notebook. I have a notebook where I write down. Whenever I'm upset with Krishna, I just read this. And I remember that I was not able to express my gratitude because of my sense of entitlement. Because I thought, I did so much for Krishna. I chant my japa, I follow the principles, I offer the prasada, and he's doing anything for me. Once I heard Keshava Maharaj say in his lecture, Krishna give your life. No, Srila Prabhupada said this, Krishna give everything, just give this life to Krishna. And you think you give so much to Krishna. So, and one very good way to accelerate this is we just stick to the devotees that have these emotions. They have this affection for Krishna. Because if you don't have, but to have their association, we can borrow this from them. So you can read the Sharanagati prayers. I wrote one prayer here that is one of my favorites from Jamunacharya Maharaj, Sri Stota Ratna 21, that he says, "O Infinite One, I have been drowning in this material ocean for so long, but now I have found its shore, you. You too, O Lord, have today found the perfect recipient of your unlimited mercy, me." So is this, when you start associating with the devotees for the prayers, we borrow these feelings and it can help us. And one very practical way to practice Sharanagati is daily in our japa. we practice surrender in the chanting of the holy names. Satyananda Swami has a book called The Living Name, where he speaks about 5 practices to enliven your chanting. And the last practice is Sharanagati. And there are many practical exercises where you can do. And he says that you can surrender to the holy names, which means whenever you're chanting and we are not attentive, we're not giving our heart, we're not giving ourselves to the chanting, what's going on in our mind? We are trying to control. We have so many problems to do, so many bills to pay, isn't it? Our mind is very busy. But if you understand that, okay, Krishna is going to solve everything, and just Nimitta Matra instrument, then I'm going to surrender here in this mantra, and the next mantra, and the next mantra. So we have 1,728 opportunities to surrender in our japa. These small steps to one day you can fully surrender to Krishna. So engrave this experience, make this meditation. I'm going to even ask you to close your eyes and imagine a situation where you feel extremely protected by Krishna. Where you could feel Krishna's reciprocity to your prayers, to your anxieties, to your fears. Maybe you were in trouble, you could not feel his presence, and the response came, not maybe directly in the altar, but from some devotee, some friend, someone stranger at the street. Engrave this experience in your heart. So let's chant together a little bit, just a couple of names, and infuse your chanting with this feeling and expressing your gratitude for this protection Krishna gave you. And try to have faith in this protection while you are chanting together, with attention and with intention. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So you can close your eyes. Open. Does someone would like to share some experience where you feel Krishna's protection? If someone feel comfortable. I'm going to share experience of one friend of mine that is not Vaishnava devotee, but I like this history. It's very short because I know the name. Because it helps us to see Krishna everywhere and in every moment and from the different means that you don't expect. She's a psychologist and she wanted to enroll her daughter in some school, change the school. And she was very concerned about the future of her daughter, her education. And she was really in doubt about 2 schools. Should I enroll in this school and that school? And then for most of people can feel, it's something silly, but for her it's something very important. She was concerned about the future of her daughter. And she made a prayer to God. And said, please, give me some sign. I don't know what to do. Feeling lost, humility, Sharanagati. It attracts Krishna. I cannot do it myself, please help me. And she entered a school and was playing a song from a very famous singer in Brazil, where he was in the song he calls like Preta, Preta, Pretinha, Pretinha, were her nickname. And when she entered the school and she saw the song, she said, "Thank you." So sometimes when we speak about Krishna's shelter, we think that's something very mystical. Oh, I came here, I said the deities, I never saw Jagannatha blinking to me. It's not this. Sometimes Krishna's shelter comes from, not from something very mystical, but someone that comes that you don't expect and give you the answer that you was waiting for some plans that will make that fail. And afterwards you say, "Thank you, Krishna, for it doesn't fulfill my desires." So this shelter can come many ways, but you should be aware of this. Write down and make this exercise. So never a little bit #upset with Krishna. Just read your notebook, and you're gonna see Krishna is always reciprocating with us whenever we remember him. Because what is written in Bhagavad Gita, this example of the two birds in the tree. He's there waiting for us, but we're a little bit with mind absent. We are a little bit distracted. So 5 o'clock. Don't we have time for questions?
Yeah, questions.
So prasada is there ready. So who want to feel comfortable can go. If someone sitting are going to be served here. They come here. Okay. Yeah. Just going to ask some questions.
So, thank you very much for coming today, for being so attentive listeners, because the speakers are less important. More important is the audience who is listening, because the reciprocation also happens in this way.
And thanks for interacting also.
And the program will continue. If any questions are there, we are around, you can just approach us also directly. So we are very happy to be available. We're not shy.
Thank you very much, Divya-Simha Prabhu and Vaishnava Kripa Mataji, for this insightful lecture. So now the program continues. You're invited to take a prasadam, vegetarian feast outside. And the weather kind of changed a bit, so maybe we can see if you can also sit outside. But of course, you can use the prasadam room, you can use this temple room. I would like to make